Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Elite City Podcast. And this is a special one. This episode will be all for the ladies. So we have a panel tonight, and first and foremost, we have Biddy is back. So everybody, welcome Biddy.
Yay.
Yay! We also have fellow Pittsburgher Janine. This is the first time I'm meeting you too, so nice to meet you finally.
You too.
Um, and from the Great White North, again, not Rick, it's Gina. Hi, Gina.
Hello, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Uh, so, the floor is yours.
Ladies, any topic you want to start with?
From the sounds of it, AEW will be getting Mercedes.
Yes!
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so that's major. That and the Deanna joining up, like they've really seemed to kick the women's division up a bit. It only took them like 5 years.
Yeah, but will they have more than one women's segment to show?
Probably not.
Well, what I'm thinking is that, I mean, it depends because Mercedes is a really big deal.
She's a huge
draw.
draw. Absolutely.
She's a really huge draw. And I feel like, I don't know, this is my opinion. I can be wrong, but I do think that the network, unfortunately, does have a say. And I don't really think they're too keen on women's wrestling, unfortunately, because if you look at ROH, I mean, they have at least 3 matches every week. But you bring in someone like Mercedes, who is unquestionably the biggest female signing in AEW ever. I feel like if the network starts to see that, hey, you know, she's bringing in viewers, she's a huge draw, and we want more of her. We want more women's wrestling. We want more segments. I feel that she can be that person to kind of get that going. But I mean, I can be wrong. I just feel she's a big enough of a deal to start this kind of like women's revolution in AEW, so to speak.
I mean, I think that's very fair. I just, for some reason, this made me think of when Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa had their matches, that, you know, their big, you know, where that iconic picture of Britt came from when she got her face broken again and stuff. Just, it seemed like the women's division had so much momentum then, and they just completely pooped the bed with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just afraid they might drop the ball again. I'm hoping not, and they seem to have been on a better track lately. I think a lot of that has to do with Toni Storm being like so amazing that she's kind of almost like kicked the door in a bit and be like, you will pay attention to us.
Right. She's very assertive, very in your face.
Yeah, he is. And I also think that, I mean, in my opinion, Britt is the ace of the women's division. I mean, you love her, you hate her. She was the first woman that they signed. And in 2020, was that when she got injured twice, the broken nose, and she had a leg injury as well. I mean, she could have just stayed home and recovered from her injuries, but she went to work. She cut amazing promos. She showed that, you know, like I'm really good on the mic. I mean, she improved so much. But I feel like the women's division was mainly centered around her for the longest time. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Britt Baker is excellent on the mic. At the time, there weren't really other women that were as strong as her in that regard. But now I feel like other women are stepping up. I mean, you look at Toni Storm. I mean, a year ago, you know, she wasn't that interesting. I like Toni as a wrestler. I always have, don't get me wrong, but she has become so good, like such an amazing character, in my opinion, the best female character in professional wrestling right now. But that took a lot of time. I mean, it took a lot of time for other women to, you know, kind of replace Brit in a sense where it's like, okay, well, now we have someone who has this amazing character. She has her catchphrase. You always want to see her. She's just so compelling and whatnot. And I mean, you look at the women's division right now, Britt Baker hasn't been around for a while. And it's like finally she's able to stay home, take care of her injuries. I mean, she was not doing so well last year. She was very injured. But I feel like they did need Britt Baker for a really long time. I feel like, the other women tried on the mic. It just wasn't working. And they didn't have a character like her. But now we're starting to see more of that. So I think they're in a really good position.
Well, Toni Storm way back when she was in like NXT was just generic woman wrestler, and then
Yeah.
you look at what she's done now is like she's like a whole new thing. It's awesome what she's done, and yeah, I think Britt was kind of like she was really big. She was a huge pop. It was that's like the first All In, and she showed up because she's Adam's girlfriend, Adam's wife, and that was I think what was the huge draw to her when she first signed with AEW. She kind of carried the women from that because of the relationship to Adam.
Yeah, I agree. And I also think that she wasn't afraid to approach veterans like Chris Jericho. Like, from what I heard, she spoke to him a lot about her character. She reached out to Cody Rhodes as well. I mean, he's the one that told her essentially, you're going to be a terrific heel one day. I mean, he called it. And she was just amazing because you didn't see any other female characters like that in AEW. I mean, for a while you had Jade, but her wrestling isn't very good, and there's so much that you can do with the undefeated streak, I guess. But I'm just really glad to see someone like Toni Storm step it up, and then I feel like Mariah May is a very interesting character. I think that she has a great look. She's interesting. She's good on the mic. The fans are reacting to her. Diana has been presented as a star, which is awesome. So I feel like in terms of like female characters, we are seeing a huge improvement. And my goodness, I didn't even mention Julia Hart. I mean, she's one of the best female characters in that company right now.
I love seeing Deanna come back, like just being her own thing now and just getting so big, on her own without her past kind of hanging on.
We also
I
are. Oh, sorry. I was
No,
going to
go
say,
ahead.
unfortunately, Jamie Hayter got hurt when she did because she had a lot of firepower behind her and stuff, and then
Jamie was good. She was really good.
she got
Oh yeah.
hurt, and she got hurt bad to where she's been out forever, and that just came at a really unfortunate time. However, she's supposed to be back soon, which is also going to make, especially if Mercedes is going to be there, like there's a lot that's going to be going on now with the women's division. It's, just those two additions, Mercedes and Jamie, that's
Oh
going
yeah.
to pump it up a lot too.
I mean, you look at the additions that they, have now. Like, you look at Mariah May, Diana, Queen Manana, and it's so great to see her on TV pretty regularly because she's been able to hang in the ring with, Chris Statlander, Sheeta. And, those matches were all great. So, I mean, the women that they're bringing in are really, really good. So that's great. And then we have all these returns, right? I mean, Thunder Rosa, is she wrestling the way she did prior to her injury? I mean, no, but that was expected. She's been gone for a year and a half. It's going to take a while for her to be at 100% again. However, her presence really was missed. I mean, I feel like when she came back, there was this energy that was missing, and I love her entrance. Everything about her is so great. And then you have Serena Deeb, who, in my opinion, is one of the best female wrestlers in the world. And when she had that match with Robin Renegade on Collision, I just looked at her in awe. Her wrestling is beautiful. Like, I was just like, she is so darn good. And she was missed as well. And then for sure, like Jamie Hayter, that was a really big loss. Very unfortunate, but she's coming back soon, and I'm curious as to what they're going to do with her. I mean, the women's division has grown so much now, but there are so many different things they can do. Like if Jamie and Baker come back at around the same time, maybe Baker can align herself with her best friend Diana, and then they feud with Jamie and someone else. There's just so much that you can do.
Right. And now with all of this talent they've signed and that are coming back, they're going to have to give them more time. You can't do all of these things with one match and maybe one promo a week. But I mean, you've got 3 shows too to like spread it
Yeah.
around. So I'm hoping, instead of all these random trios matches or, random mashup tags and all that stuff, they start using that time for women instead. Because
Yeah, me too.
and one of the biggest knocks on AEW is that, their storytelling is poor. They just throw together matches with no background or anything just for the hell of it. And it's like, well, one way you can get away from that is to like develop the women's storylines and stuff better.
Absolutely, and they've done a really great job with Tony and Diana. I think that their feud has been excellent. The interview last week on Dynamite was so good. I love that Tony was in the black and white and Diana was in color. I like that whenever Diana wrestles, Tony's on commentary. I think that's all great. You have the Ruby Soho Soraya, I always forget how to pronounce her name, sorry, and Harley Cameron storyline that's pretty interesting, and I mean they can do a lot more with that. And then you have what's the other one I'm thinking of? Chris Statlander, Willow, Stokely, which is pretty funny, because Stokely is so hilarious, and it makes you wonder: is Chris Statlander going to turn heel? Perhaps Stokely will find another female wrestler to manage. I mean, could that potentially be Megan Bain, right? I mean, she's supposed to be coming to AEW full time. So it's just crazy to imagine how much can happen in the next few months. But yes, absolutely, the woman will need more time. And it's been nice to see 2 women's matches on Collision. Like we got that last week, and there was a week where they had 2 women's matches on Rampage. So if they can keep doing that, that'd be great. That's what I'm hoping for.
Agreed. Now, here's something I just thought of. I read that it sounds like Malachi Black and Buddy Matthews are going back to WWE, in which case that only leaves Brody and Julia in the House of Black, and now she's kind of recruited Sky Blue. I wonder what will happen to the House of Black if those two do end up leaving. But the storyline they've built up with Julia and Sky has also been really interesting. However, I wonder where they go with that as well. But that's also a story lead or whatever that they can develop into a lot more with all the talent coming in.
I agree, and I've also been wondering, like, where are Sky Blue and Julia? Like, I haven't really seen them in the past couple of weeks, which is fine. I mean, I'm guessing that Thunder Rosa will probably challenge Julia for the TBS title, considering that she's ranked number 2, right? So I can see that happening. But yes, if Malachi and Buddy were to leave, I mean, that's a good point. I say, why not continue the House of Black? Add more women, turn it into like a female faction. Well, I mean, no, we do like Brody. I'm just kidding, even though that would be pretty neat. But you know, maybe you can add Butcher and Blade, to the House of Black. I feel I always found it kind of odd that that didn't happen because they would have fit in so well. So if those two were to leave, maybe they would be good replacements. I'm not sure what the rest of you think, but that could be something that they can do.
Blasco, any comment on that?
Yeah, that's all awesome. I didn't hear that about Malachi, and so that's interesting.
I mean, I don't know. You know how the
Yeah,
It's
yeah. I'm
rumors
just
floating
The
around.
dirt sheets.
the dirt sheets.
Yeah.
However, I did read it, I think, in 2 different ones. So
it's
sounds,
interesting.
there might be some fire behind that smoke and all that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I
It would make
take
sense
Butcher and
because like
Blade.
Rhea Ripley and Zelina Vega are both in WWE,
Right.
so like
Right.
if they want
Yeah.
to go back to be with their wife/girlfriends, that makes perfect sense.
Right. So I just, when I read that, I'm like, okay, well, what's going to happen? I mean, that's half of the House of Black splitting. But It would be kind of funny to see Julia take it over and just start like, yeah, this like coven of.
Yeah, I think it would be really cool,
That
actually.
would be cool, like a coven, House of Black as a
Yeah.
coven. Absolutely.
Like, I'm not entirely sure what's going on with Penelope Ford. We haven't seen her on AEW television in a really long time. I know that she had a miscarriage last year, so maybe it's one of those things where she rather keep trying to get pregnant, and she's been advised not to wrestle. I mean, I don't know what the situation is there, and quite frankly, it's totally understandable that it's kept secretive. I mean, I completely understand that. But I mean, if she were to come back, I think she would fit in really well. Like, I always thought that Julia Hart and Penelope would be cool together in a faction. I was hoping that would happen with Ali as well, but unfortunately, she's no longer there. But yeah, I mean, you can add other women, and Brody can be like, I don't know, like their father figure or something. I guess we already have Christian Cage, who's everybody's father, but
Brody could be like the Kevin from the all-female Ghostbusters. He could just be like the himbo.
yeah.
I was gonna say like Luther, he can be their butler. Regardless, they can easily find something, a purpose for him in that. But yeah, having like a House of Black Coven, I think that would be an excellent way for them to kind of. Well, and Julia, I mean, she was the one that went to Malachi Black to join the House of Black, like.
Mm,
So I think she would be also, just side note, it's nuts. She's only what, 22,
yeah.
23? Like, holy crap. That girl's,
It's
she has the most beautiful moonsault, I swear, and she's only like 22.
My life at 22 is very different.
just a tad.
Yeah.
it's astonishing because at that age, you're still trying to perfect your wrestling. So I mean, most wrestlers at that age, they don't know what their character is, or like they're trying something, but it doesn't really last long term. But like in her case, she's already nailed the character, and that's a really hard thing to do, let alone at that
Especially
age.
so young. Yeah, at that age and on being on TV on national broadcast, you see that at like an NXT level sometimes, or you see it in the indies, but rarely on like, Raw or SmackDown or like AEW. And she's so young. So young
Yeah,
to be on TV. And she does so well.
she does, and she's gotten like so over. I mean, I remember, I believe it was it Wrestle Dream? Yes, Wrestle Dream. It was Chris Statlander versus Julia Hart for the TBS title, and I love Chris Statlander so much. I think she's one of the best female wrestlers in the world. And it was a bit difficult to hear the fans boo Chris. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, hey, come on, like I get you guys love Julia, but let's not boo Chris. I mean, she's amazing. But I mean, I get it. It's just the fans really they really accepted her and liked her, and it's understandable because she's doing something that's just so cool.
Agreed, yeah. I kind of, like, at first I was a little like, she, Sky going dark or whatever, but now the more I see of her, it makes more sense. And I think it's a good thing for Sky Blue as well. It seems to be letting her kind of, you know, I guess it's really easy to be a baby face.
Hmm.
You just yay, but to like be a little darker, a heel, I don't know. While it's harder, I also would imagine it's a lot more fun.
Yeah, I'm sure Julia's having such a great time. I mean, and imagine she started off as a cheerleader. Like, what a change. Um, well, speaking of heel turns, do you ladies think that Chris is turning heel, or will she decide not to, and Stokely will decide to manage another woman? What are you thinking?
To be honest, I haven't watched enough of it because I was out of town for work for 2 weeks, so
I
I've
don't pay for cable, so I kind of keep up with what I can and see what I can. So I'm not 100% in, I'll be honest.
yeah, because I was working my tail off, I haven't gotten a chance to really see much of the Stokely and Cats, or yeah, I haven't.
Lavender,
Yeah, I haven't. Or Chris. I always want to call her Cat. But yeah, I haven't been able to see much of it. So it's interesting that it seems to be like she might go heel. It's really interesting, and I'd be interested to see that because she's she's been a baby face since she started in AEW.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that
she's always been a babyface. It's true. Um, I'm not sure. I'm kind of conflicted. I mean, mind you, I wasn't sure about Sky Blue either, and now I'm loving it. So it might end up working out really well. It's just I don't know. I don't know if I want Stokely and Chris Statlander together. I mean, he's hilarious. I like that he writes poems for her and recites them and stuff like that. Like it's really entertaining, but do I want to see her as a heel? I don't know. I truly don't.
well, and there's been people have been talking about maybe Trent Beretta going heel as well. I mean, they're both in Best Friends. Is that break up best friends and they go together type of thing? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It definitely does seem like the best friends are breaking up. Yeah. Um, I just wonder, like, if that does happen, what happens to Chuck Taylor?
He's been kind of floating in the ether lately.
Yeah. I mean, they've been using Trent Beretta a lot, and he's such a great wrestler. But I can't remember the last time I saw Chuck Taylor wrestle, actually.
I want to say I've heard he got hurt, which would make sense, but he had barely even been around Best Friends until I think I saw something on Instagram. He was with them one of the last times that Trent wrestled. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, I don't know. I also saw something that said like, who would you be most heartbroken on if they went heel? I think Orange Cassidy's definitely up there for that. But
oh yeah,
like I can't even imagine that though. But I don't know. Yeah, seeing Chris go heel might be pretty interesting as well. The only thing is, I mean, there's a lot of heels, female heels though.
Yeah, I mean, there's Tony, Mariah, Julia, Sky Blue. Anna Jay's a babyface now, I guess, right? I mean, she just switched.
That's someone who needs some direction.
Yeah, unexpectedly just became a babyface. There's Ruby Soho, she's a heel.
Soraya's a
Soraya.
heel.
Who are we missing?
It's almost easier to go through who's not a heel.
Right. So Willow. Diana. Chris. Thunder Rosa.
Sheeta.
I guess. Yeah, Sheeta. I guess Serena Deeb's a babyface right now.
Yeah.
Okay, I know I'm missing someone. Is Queen Amanada a heel or a babyface? I'm not sure.
I don't think
that's been established.
Yeah, it has a. She's had wrestled some great matches, but otherwise, I don't know. Velasco, you watch ROH, and I think she was down there a lot. What?
It's not really been established. She just plays the role of whatever's kind of needed for the match, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think now that she's there's my echo. Now that she's officially signed, they'll probably do something to give her a little more of a character / story, in my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think they should. I mean, the fans have reacted really well to her. She, as I said earlier, she hasn't had a bad match. So, I mean, why not? The only thing I will say is that when it comes to the ROH women's division, there are some women there that I wish would appear on AEW television sometimes, like Athena, obviously. I really miss her. But also, legit Layla. She was injured for a while, and I don't have Honor Club, so I'll try to watch the women's matches the following day. But yeah, like, and unfortunately in ROH, I feel like the women's matches have kind of felt like dark matches. They're short, and there's like 3 or 4 of them, but they're usually quite short squash matches. So I'm hoping they go back to what they were doing initially, where the woman got a lot more time in the ring. Um, but yeah, like there are definitely some great female wrestlers there. I mean, Billy Starks is very promising. Trisha Dora is good. Who am I missing that stands out? The Renegade Twins are there. They're pretty impressive. But yeah, like Athena, I'm never going to understand that one. Why would you not put one of the best wrestlers in the world on AEW TV more often? I mean, like you can put other ROH champions on AEW TV, but not her. I never understood that.
That is a really good point. And I also, yeah, that's could it be something with workload? I get ROH is less workload, compared to 3 days a week on national TV and stuff. Maybe it has something to do with that. But yeah, it's a mystery why they stuck her there when she's so good.
Yeah, I was hoping that she'd drop the title back in December to Billy Starks because I was like, she needs to be on AEW TV. I mean, she is too good. I mean, I can understand you want a female wrestler that's, at her level to be in ROH because maybe they feel like, okay, if we have Athena as the champion, then people will tune in more. They'll subscribe to Honor Club. I'm guessing that might be part of it, but her character work got so good, and I just feel bad for like anyone that's missing out because she has been one of the best champions in professional wrestling, especially in 2023. So it's a real shame that I feel a lot of fans are missing out on that.
Yeah, that is really interesting. Anyway, what else can we talk about?
Well, you had mentioned Orange Cassidy earlier. So, are we all in agreement that it is time for him to drop the international title?
You know, hey boys, you can join us for this one.
I disagree. He needs to have the title for 9,000 years.
I just think he's not doing. He's not. It was like his first run was so good, and this run has just been like existing.
Yeah, I feel like they've squeezed about as much out of that orange as they can.
Boo.
Solid pun.
For a second there, I thought you weren't going with the pun. You were
Yeah.
just gonna go squeezed everything they could get out of it, and I was gonna be upset with you, but you nailed it. You stuck the landing. Good job.
You hesitated. You're like, am I gonna do it? And then I was, she's going for it.
It was good. Nice job.
That was.
Oh, thank
Well-
you. Good night.
Well, I remember when Orange lost the belt to Moxley. I was crushed. I was devastated. It was just like, no, he was my favorite champion last year, and he had such great matches. He was consistent. But I have to say, the second run hasn't felt the same to me.
Not at all. It's like they
Oh.
tried. Oh, I finally did it. It's like they kind of screwed it up when they had him drop it, and they're like, oh wait, no, and they're like, oh, sorry, that moment already passed. The magic's gone.
Yeah, and that was a complete mess, right? Because he dropped it to Moxley. Moxley got injured. Moxley dropped it to Ray Phoenix. Ray Phoenix got injured, or there was some kind of a visa problem. I can't remember which one it was. And then Orange won it back. It was
Yeah.
just a complete mess. Why did he drop it in the first place? I mean, mind you, you can't predict injuries, but I didn't think the timing was right. But now I feel like it's dragging on a little bit.
I would agree with that. Blasco does not agree.
And that's okay. I get it. Orange is awesome. And do we think that he will drop the belt to Roderick Strong?
That's an acceptable opponent to lose to. I will say that. I'll
I
accept
just-
Roddy.
I just can't. If he does, how obnoxious Roddy will be, and hopefully, hilariously obnoxious. But I don't know. I feel like Orange hasn't taken a day off or a vacation in a
Yeah.
long time too. I think it might be good for him to kind of you love something that goes away for a while more, whatever the hell that saying is. Kind of
I'm glad
let people miss him, and then he comes back to a giant pop.
I'm glad you said that because I feel the same way. And not just about Orange, but also Chris Jericho. I think he needs to take time off. I mean, listen, I I was a huge Chris fan growing up, and I don't have any issues with him really. I mean, I didn't really like some of his political stuff on Twitter, stuff like that. But um, he's just been on TV so much since 2019, and I'm not feeling his feud with Takeshita right now. I'm not feeling the Don Callis family. I don't know. I don't know what they can do there, but it's just not working. It's just Chris has been used so much, and I just don't really want him on my television screen for a little while. And as for the Don Callis family, at first it seemed like it was going to be such a huge deal and like it would elevate guys like Hobbs, but I just don't feel that faction has really done much for anybody.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, you've come to the place for uh, being tired of Jericho because I think every podcast, here comes Rick.
I was so happy when you brought up Chris Jericho. I was so happy. That's all I want to say. Good job.
I mean, he's on multiple podcasts. He's gone off, ranted for like an hour about this.
Rick, go on
Yeah.
a rant?
I
What?
know. Can you believe it?
No.
But we all agree. Jericho is like, please just go take a vacation and stay off our TVs for 6 months.
Yeah, and especially like when he was doing the whole Winnipeg Jets thing with
Oh.
Kenny Omega, it was not good.
Do you
It
think
was
they
not good.
keep him around just like because he's that veteran guy to put on? Like, I mean, I just feel like, yeah, he's so saturated within AEW.
Saturated is a great way to put it. He is extremely oversaturated. He needs to
Right.
go desaturate somewhere
And
else
not on
for
a
a while.
cruise either. He needs to go take a real vacation.
Go tour with your crap band.
Oh,
And also, I
yeah.
feel like whenever he ends up in a feud with someone, it ends up dragging. This is always the case, and I don't
Yes.
understand why. He always has to get his win back. And I don't know. And like, I guess he didn't get his win back with oh geez, who did he actually put over? But that was after like I don't know how many matches. I don't even remember now.
Yeah, that's how long
Uh,
ago it must have
That's
been.
how long ago. So it's just like, a Chris Jericho feud is starting, and you think to yourself, oh man, this is gonna last like over 6 months now. And it's just it hasn't really helped elevate that many wrestlers.
Not at
So
all.
yeah,
And like Sammy Guevara keeps going back to him. I'm like, will you please do something else for a change?
I know. Why is he always with Chris? I don't get it.
Like it's been 5 years. Like if you can't figure it out by now how to do something on your own, then maybe this isn't. I don't know.
right. Like Chris initially was like there to get guys over because he was Chris Jericho, and now like he's just kind of still there and they haven't done anything apart from him. They haven't branched off and like found their own thing.
Right. Well, it's like his ego got in the way, and here we are.
Right.
Sorry, I'm tearing apart a hard drive to keep my hands
Oh, no
busy.
worries.
If you hear cracking and Ugh. But yeah, man, Chris, whew, please go take a vacation.
Yeah, like I'm not saying he needs to leave AEW. I'm not saying that he's not a good wrestling mind. He just needs to leave for a while,
Right.
and eventually he can come back and figure something new and fresh out. But what he's been doing has not felt new or fresh. And
Yeah, especially for someone who rightfully like has prided himself on being able to reinvent himself all the time.
It's the same old Chris Jericho every time.
Right.
Yeah.
It's been such a drag.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. And I think we need to start reevaluating the 4 pillars.
Uh,
I really do.
yeah. I think one of
Uh,
those pillars CM Punked his way out.
The cult of hypocrisy.
Oh, he got CM Punked.
Who's
Karma's a
that? Sorry, I
bitch.
didn't hear you there. You got cut off for a
Oh,
second.
well, I was saying the one pillar seems to have been CM Punked off.
Oh gosh. I mean, I
So
just feel there are other guys that have impressed me more than Sammy Guevara and Jungle Boy.
Takeshita, that's the perfect
Yeah,
example. Like
Swerve.
Swerve for sure. Swerve,
Um,
man.
yeah, yeah,
speaking of
he
like
is on another
stuff,
level.
so totally, I know this seems like off the wall, but what's gonna happen with Okada?
Oh yeah, they're pretty much like, yeah, he's coming because he's
Right,
Yeah.
best friends with the Bucks and stuff.
right. So like,
That's
how would do you think like where would Okada fit in and all and everything?
well, he'll probably be with the Bucks since they're
Right.
besties. And they're corporate whore heels now. Whore
Yeah.
heels. But I don't know. Boys, would you like to chime in on this part?
Sure. I think going back to what you said earlier about best friends, I think Okada forms chaos in
That would
AEW.
be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That would be
I
really
mean,
awesome, actually.
Rocky's already there. The best friends are already there. I mean, half the stable's there. So that's my opinion.
Oh, that's a
Well,
good, yeah.
Mm,
yeah, from what I've read, AEW has offered him a lot more money. So they think it's more of a matter of where does he want to go? What does he want to accomplish, right?
yeah.
Um, with Okada, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I don't think anybody should want to sign with WWE right now. I mean,
No.
things are
No,
not looking good.
I have a lot of thoughts about that.
Yeah,
Oh,
we could
We all
talk
do.
about that. I mean, we could talk about that next for sure. But yeah, I mean, why would you even want to go there? I feel like there are so many unknowns,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't know how many of these people were involved or that
Right.
knew
It's
about
gonna
all this
get
and
worse
stuff. It's
before it
gonna
gets
get
better.
worse.
There's a
I mean,
lot of
it's
bad
going.
juju.
Oh yeah, it's gonna hurt the company. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
It
you
already
know that
has.
those are.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, it
Like,
has and it hasn't. Like, if you don't
right.
mind, I'm gonna vent a little bit
Go for it.
because
Go.
I was actually pretty upset on Saturday that no one addressed it. Everyone acted like, oh, well, it's the Royal Rumble. Everybody still tuned into that show. They didn't hijack the show. I mean, the fans didn't. I didn't hear any like FUCK Vince chants or NDAs or whatever. And that honestly aggravated me. Like, how can you not even like act like everything is normal? Like the wrestlers, the wrestling fans, it was just like brushed off. Triple H's disgusting media scrum.
Right.
I was so upset on Saturday because I remember at World's End, okay? And when there was that whole thing with Chris and rumors and stuff that Nick Hausman started and Kylie Ray responding to a tweet with an emoji and stuff. There was like nothing concrete backing up any of those claims. And Nick Hausman, like a few days later, said that what he said about Chris was an opinion. So you think that Chris is like Harvey Weinstein? That's your opinion. Okay, the way you presented it a few days ago made it seem like this was an actual fact. And I mean, so there was nothing to back this up. And the AEW fans gave Chris a really, really hard time. I mean, they booed
Right.
him, they chanted NDA, they did all of this stuff. At the Royal Rumble, I did not hear screw Vince, I did not hear NDA, nothing. I was really, really disappointed on
Well,
Saturday. Sorry, I know I got a little bit
no. I
angry
Oh,
wonder
there.
though if they love to. I've seen it where I've gone to a WWE show and it's recorded prior to, like it's taped. It's not a live event, and I remember seeing Samoa Joe come out and everybody like went insane. And then when you watched it on TV, it was like quiet, and you have to wonder, did they funnel, people talk about them funneling noise and this and that and cheers and all that, and I don't know if they do that or not. I'm sure there's a lot of sound editing to get the storyline that they want. But I remember hearing how quiet it was watching the broadcast that following week, and because it was like a holiday show. And you have to wonder, did they maybe try to suppress any of that, even like with security at the arena, or
I wouldn't
you
be
know,
shocked at all that they did, because
I wouldn't
they're,
be surprised if there were signs and they were like, get them out of the building. It wouldn't surprise me. There's probably a lot of crowd control.
yeah,
You're probably
absolutely.
right. But like even the wrestlers, I mean, I get it. Like Triple H told you not to talk about it, but man, if you're especially a woman and you're pissed off,
Yeah.
I would expect something. And we got nothing. And I don't know. I just felt really disappointed. I feel like I don't know. I feel like when it comes to AEW, we hold Tony a lot more accountable. We gave him a lot of crap for hiring Ric Flair. That did not fly with most of the AEW fan base. The Jericho stuff, even though, that was basically like a rumor and we don't really know what happened, we still held Tony and AEW accountable. So I just don't understand why the same doesn't happen to WWE. But then again, I mean, people have accepted all this crap about Vince for years.
Right, for years. Everybody's thought like, oh, Vince is just a creepy old man. It's been that way for years. And at the same time, too, I feel like WWE is that more marketing friendly thing when you look at it versus AEW. Like, not saying like AEW isn't a marketable product, but compared to WWE has always been about kids, and you know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of always been that marketing. It's got a lot of sponsors. You like the Slim Jim pulled out until Vince resigned, and then they were like, okay, we'll give you back the sponsorship. And that's why I wonder if maybe it's just kind of like this. And it's the Rumble, and it's one of the two most. It's the second most watched WWE pay-per-view after WrestleMania. So it's just kind of. I feel like it's just this generic product, and that's why you don't get the pushback versus you have like the tribalism with an AEW.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, I agree. Really good point. I mean, look, I stopped watching WWE in 2018. Like, I mean, I was already I took breaks from it, watched parts of it here and there, but I really lost interest, I would say, in like 2004, 2005. The product just wasn't for me anymore. But the reason why I was just like, I don't want to watch this at all in 2018 wasn't only because I didn't like the product, but also at that point, most things about Vince had been
right, and then
aired
I
somewhere.
think, wasn't it like the next year all the speaking out things came out about
Yeah.
NXT stars, about other wrestlers? Like, that's when everything kind of started hitting the fan, and that's when I stopped losing interest.
You just watch Dark Side of the Ring, and it's like there are so many episodes that talk about how terrible Vince was, like covering up murder, being reckless when it came to Owen Hart. I mean, I don't think they mentioned this on Dark Side of the Ring yet. I mean, but you look at the Ashley Massaro situation where she was essentially raped, and instead of protecting her, they told her, be quiet, this is going to ruin WWE's reputation.
Right. It's all about the presentation for WWE. They want to be marketable.
Yeah. And so it's not like, wow, this is such a surprise, right? I just feel like people kept brushing it off. It was just like, okay, well,
this is just how it is.
This is how it is, or there's no evidence, or dirt sheets, or blah, blah, blah. And now this story is so huge. I mean, you have CNN covering it. I don't think they're going to be able to escape this time.
Hopefully not.
I really, and I know Rick has said before on our Discord server and on social media that basically it's going to boil down to, oh, that was the old regime. They're going to weasel their way out of it. And that just makes me more mad. Like, oh, that was just Vince. That was just the old regime. It's going to be different now. And there has to be multiple people involved. I feel like Hunter, Paul at some point had to have known.
Of course.
For sure.
He had to have known. I mean, that's your father-in-law. How do you not know?
he knew, he definitely knew, and it also wouldn't surprise me if he engaged. I mean,
Right.
Hunter is not the good guy that these people online think he
Neither is
is, just
Stephanie,
because,
and neither is
and neither is
Stephanie.
Stephanie. I mean, you watched that documentary on China. It broke my heart. I lost all respect for Hunter and Stephanie, and I already didn't like Hunter, but that
Mhm.
just reinforced, like, my dislike for the guy. And it's just, and you see the people online saying, "Oh, but Triple H is like this great guy." What? What
Right,
are
they
you
call him
talking?
Uncle Paul on Twitter.
Oh, Papa H. Papa.
Papa H, Uncle Paul.
It's like you're a grown ass man calling this guy Papa H. Please get a life. Please see a therapist and to discuss your father issues. That's just weird to me. But I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he knew, if he participated. I mean, yeah, and we know what Triple H's goal was, right? I mean, sure, maybe he had some feelings for Stephanie, but essentially he wanted to take over the company.
Right,
And
right.
of course, he was like going to protect Vince and do what he can to ensure that
Exactly.
everything.
How is there not motive for him to want to keep all that quiet, Because it's all going to eventually fall in his hands.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, I read the details of what happened, and it was just upsetting, appalling, inhumane, horrific.
Right.
So just it made me, you know what? I felt sick. I really
Mm.
felt sick. I didn't sleep for a couple of nights because it upset me so much. And as I said, it's not because I wasn't aware of what kind of a piece of garbage Vince McMahon was, but it was kind of like, why did it take this long?
Exactly.
For,
You knew he was garbage, but like it's just I think we're all shocked at the level of how bad it really was. It's more than he's just a creepy old perv.
and what's also crazy is that when this happened, he was in his 70s. Like, imagine what he was doing when he was young.
Right. Yeah, there's no way it just was within the last 10 years. There's no way. Absolutely no way.
There's actually this interview that I found online, and I believe it was from '86. I don't recall exactly, but Vince was on a show with this guy that used to work for him, and the guy, like, he like said, you fired me because I didn't want to sleep with who was it? The vice president. I can't remember, vice president of the company or something like that. And I mean, he was a victim, and nothing came out of that. That's
Right.
crazy. It's just, oh man, and so many more things have happened. And I saw online that there are more victims that want to talk about what happened to them, and I think that would be really great. I hope they don't just settle.
Right.
Right.
I hope they feel comfortable enough to come forward, and I'm sure it's really traumatic for a lot of them, and it's going to be hard, and there's going to be people who are going to still be, riding the WWE, train, and it's, that's their guy. Vince is their guy, and I don't know. I just feel like we're going to find out there's like way more worse people than we ever thought. So,
It's scary.
mhm.
It's really scary. And I don't know if you saw, but John Laurinaitis today said that he was a victim.
Mm,
Did you see that?
No, I didn't, but boy,
Oh my God. He pretty much said that Vince put him in that kind of situation, and he's a victim, and the truth's going to come out. And it's like, okay, so you admit that you both raped her, though.
right.
Right.
Isn't that a confession?
I feel like he's taking that stance on it. Like, look, it's not my fault. I
Yeah.
was forced into this. I'm a victim too.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did.
Yeah.
That's what you do
Just
if
so
you're
sorry.
guilty as hell and
Oh,
trying to
yeah.
get
Yeah.
a lesser issue or whatever.
Right. Let's put all the blame on Vince and take some off of me. Yeah.
What
I
lovely
mean,
folks.
oh
Lovely
gosh,
company.
they're so terrible. They're so terrible. And I mean, Brock Lesnar apparently isn't going back there anytime soon. Well, they don't want him back. but it's like you have your entire front office, man. Like, don't tell
Yeah.
me they didn't know. And
Right.
why are they there? Like, and I mean, obviously Triple H's response was really bad at the media storm after the Rumble. And I know Cody got some praise for what he said, but I didn't really like when he said that Nick Khan and TKO acted right away. I mean, didn't TKO buy WWE knowing about these allegations, and they brought him back in and gave him the executive chairman title?
Pretty
Yep.
much. Yeah.
So, like, what do you mean they acted right
Yeah,
away?
TKO basically made a statement that said like, "Oh, we didn't know, we didn't know any of this, and we didn't know Vince did this, and Vince just is a, not that kind of a guy, and we've let him go, blah blah blah, just a generic blanket legal mumbo jumbo statement."
And what's like so crazy about it is when these allegations came out back in 2022, I mean, there were reports that there was going to be more coming out. It was just going to be a matter of time. You want to build a case. It could take a year, it could take a few years. So this was going to happen. We were going to find out more eventually. And
hmm
that's what's happening now. So for TKO to say, oh, well, he's no longer, he doesn't even work here. And this was pre TKO. It's like, but these allegations came out in 2022. What the heck are you talking about?
This is because it was money for them,
Yeah.
corporate America.
Yeah, exactly. Just a really terrible situation, and I just really hope that the victim gets the justice that she deserves and finds peace and heals, essentially. I mean, I can't imagine going through something like that.
And of course, you got all the chuds online saying she just wants money. That's why
Of
she did
course,
this.
she just
Oh,
Like,
wants
stop.
man.
money.
Yeah, if
Let's
a
That's
be
just
70-year-old
terrible.
gross ass man shit on my head, I'd want some money too.
right.
Yeah. Shit on her.
Ugh,
I mean, he hurt her, right? Like he
right.
used toys and she got injured and bruised. I mean, he treated her like a sex slave.
Well, I was, as
I
someone who works in the porn industry, they don't treat the girls like that in the porn industry.
Right.
Like, who'd have thought the porn industry nowadays would be way, way squeakier clean than WWE? But here
WWE.
we are.
That
Here
is
we are.
insane. Yeah, it's just oh man. I don't yeah, it just made me really sick.
Yeah. It's
Yep.
yeah, absolutely like gut wrenching, sick. Yeah.
I just want them to, be accountable. It's kind of like, look, I get it. I understand that it's hard to stop watching something that you really like and all of that, but at some point you also have to take a moral stand. And
hmm
I mean, I understand you watch because you want to support your favorite wrestlers, but you don't have to watch it live. Like, you're giving them the viewership, and you're contributing to their success. And I mean, I get it. It's really hard to break certain habits, but
hmm
at the same time, if you want a company to be held accountable, it needs to start doing badly.
Yep, you
Right.
gotta hit them in the pocket.
That's
Yeah,
right. That's the only way a corporation will do anything that seems mildly right in the right direction is hit them in the wallet.
because only then will they have no choice but to change things, right?
hmm
Yeah. So it's just weird. It's weird to me that wrestling is so different. I mean, you look at Hollywood, we were able to cancel Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, Kevin Spacey, so many others. Mind you, they do have a union, but I mean, still, like, why is wrestling so carny?
Hopefully, maybe, yeah, a union for the wrestlers.
That would be, yeah. I mean, they're literally what, independent contractors with
Yeah,
WWE, right?
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's time they get a union. Absolutely. After all this, absolutely. They need protection.
yeah, especially the female talent.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say, if the men won't get along on the board, the women need to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
guys, that was a good almost hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, is there anything else you guys can think of?
Um, I mean, I go to see indie stuff here in Pittsburgh, and Joy puts on a good show. They have some good talent. Actually,
Hmm.
I saw Willow wrestle with Enjoy last summer, and she's fantastic. She's so good. Um, Also, I mean, there's so many, right now for wrestling, when you want to talk about your favorite wrestlers, it could be there's WWE, there's AEW, there's all over the indies. It's like the best time right now for wrestlers because you can kind of pick any path you want. You're
Yeah.
not limited to just trying to get onto TV now in the age of the internet and stuff. And you have like Allie Catch and she and Effie are doing such amazing things. Like Effie is one of the, I think, brightest and best right now. He's just doing so much to promote, LGBT inclusion in wrestling, the Big Gay Brunch. Um, there's a lot of cool stuff out there. If you look for it, I mean, because it's so disheartening with everything with WWE and, like you said, some of the signings with AEW, and it's just so disheartening. Speaking Out happened, and then I found some really cool people in the indie scene and started following them. And I mean, they're out there. If you're really disheartened, they're still good out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. I mean, look, I don't think AEW is as bad as
Right,
WWE, not
right.
even
Nothing's
close to
without its
that.
problems.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Like, I mean, I understand why they brought in Ric Flair. I get it for Sting, but did you really have to sign him to a contract? Like, that's the part where I was like, ugh. I
Right.
could have
Yeah.
made an exception for him, wanting to be there for one of his best friends and being with him at Revolution by his side. It was the signing him part that I'm like, really? It's like Ric Flair. I mean, he's hard to watch. I mean, he doesn't move very well. He can't even walk. He wears that ridiculous gold chain.
I know that has to
He,
be. I don't know. I kind of feel for Ashley. Like, what does she think? Like, man, that's my dad.
yeah, he's trying to chop wrestlers, and it's like, what are you
Ooh,
doing?
yeah. Like, it's
you
what point
know,
are you like, Dad? Come on.
I
Oh,
mean, I just don't see the point of him being there after Sting retires. So, yeah, but no, you're right. I mean, that's one thing that's been so great about wrestling over the years. If you were sick of WWE, you were able to find other options. So, like you said, indie wrestling. Some people really love, TNA.
Hmm.
You have Japanese wrestling, which I'm a big fan of, like New Japan
New
and
Japan. Yep.
Stardom. Yeah, although, like, don't get me wrong. I mean, there are problems there too. I mean, you
Oh,
look at
yeah. I mean, there's problems when you look at oh my gosh. My brain is just completely NWA. I mean, you look at they had
mhm.
Titus as a champion for
yeah,
years, spewing his and Billy. I love the Pumpkins, but Billy just says some really dumb stuff, and
yes,
that's what I guess they wanted Effie to come in, and Effie's like, I don't do PR. Go F yourselves. Like you let Titus run his mouth on Fox News for all these years, and you want me to come in and fix it and make you popular. No, he's like, I don't do it. So I'm such a big fan of what he does. But there's a lot of good out there. And
there
Joy
is.
right now has Edith Surreal is she's defending her title in March, and she's just to see her wrestle too is amazing. I mean, she's just so cool. She's just like one of the coolest out there to watch wrestle. Edith Surreal. There's a lot of cool stuff happening within the indies. It's out there. There's cool people. They still exist.
Yeah, no, there really is. It's nice to have so many options. I mean, that's why I get really annoyed when I see fans saying AEW is not gonna last and like, you know, hopefully this company goes out of business. Why the heck would you want that?
It's just
Why?
weird tribalism.
It's
It really
it's
is.
it's weird tribalism. The wrestlers deserve to make a lot of money and have a lighter schedule and just have a good life, and
Especially when you see like wrestlers between the different companies, like watching the other and supporting. That's their friends. They all.
yeah.
It's just so funny. People are like, I won't watch WWE because AEW. Like, it's just come on.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like I said, for me, WWE, it really was like I'm not into this product, and I just couldn't justify watching it morally anymore. And this
Right.
was before AEW even existed. So, I mean, Yeah, but when it becomes all about like tribalism, it's kind of ridiculous at
Right.
that point. Um, but yeah, I just think that you should want as many options as possible. Like, to be frank, I think a third option that would be as big as AEW would be great. So that way, you could have wrestlers that aren't really being used much in AEW go there. Like, there's so much talent right now. And you look at AEW's roster, I mean, there are so many freaking wrestlers. It is crazy. And when someone leaves, like let's say Andrade, it doesn't really seem like a big deal because they have so many other, guys and, girls too, obviously, that can fill in. It's, I mean, you look at the luchadors, let's say, in AEW, have Ray Phoenix. I mean, unfortunately, he is injured right now, but when he comes back, he'll be wrestling regularly again. But like, you have him, you have Bandito, who will be back soon. You have El Vikingo. I mean, he's not signed, but we see him pretty regularly. I mean, I love Bandito. I think he's excellent. So for me, Andrade, it's just like, oh well, somebody else will get a spot now. That's fine. And that's kind of how it's been with some of these departures because it's so stacked. The roster is humongous.
Yeah. On that note, I think we should probably wrap it up. It's been an hour, so I want to thank Janine and Gina for joining. Boys, you got anything to say? Thank you for
No,
giving us the floor.
that was
That was
awesome.
awesome. It was
That
great.
was
Really
very,
awesome. It
very
was,
feminist and amazing of you.
That was a
That was a
great
lot of
that was
fun.
a great podcast. I loved it. Great job.
yeah, it was a lot of fun to listen to, and yeah, it was really fun.
I also just want a quick shout out. Hopefully it's working for everyone. We have a new logo, a new graphic, new imagery for our podcast. So Schuler Design did some really cool images for us. So hopefully you're seeing them on however you listen to podcasts because they look really good. So thanks. We just want to shout him out and say thanks for that.
Yes, thank you. And don't forget, everybody, like, subscribe, share. We're everywhere at Elite City Pod. There's not much else to say. It's all been said. So, you know what? Thank you. And until next week, later.